What's going on, podcast? We're actually doing a live Q&A for this one, and this is on the topic of 5 common bulking mistakes. So I'm going to rant and answer questions as they come along here on the Instagram live. So right off the bat, first question is, well, the purpose of this podcast is I was like, all right, what should we do a podcast on this week? And then, everybody's in the mindset of either building muscle or losing fat when it comes to the area of aesthetics, right? Those are the two different ends of the spectrum. And this is usually the time of year where, not everybody's at the beach. And so this is a good time to put on muscle and then start cutting like around, April, May, or whatever. And that's actually exactly what I'm doing too. So I'm on a lean bulk right now. I do expect to get a little bit leaner over the next few weeks because I did not follow my diet 100% when it was Christmas time. Had some of my mom's cheesecake pie. If you were following me on Instagram, you saw that I was definitely eating some things that weren't in the carnivore meal plan. We're not in the keto meal plan at all. But you know what? You only live once, and I remember how good that stuff tasted, and I was not going to live with regrets not having my mom's cheesecake. So it was worth every single bite of it too. Just went to bed with a huge smile on my face, and I got some of the best lifts of my life the next couple of days. Got a question here. Okay, how do you get past the sugar cravings on the holidays? Excellent question. Well, the sugar cravings, so sugar is a drug. It's been shown to be more addictive than crack cocaine in rat studies. So that is something to where once it's reintroduced to your system, if you've gone so long without it, it's going to come back. Now, whenever I eat sugar, which is, more often than I should, but for the most part, like on a good month, I'll go the entire month without any sugar and I'm just eating nothing but meat. But if I do have sugar because it's a holiday or like it's a special occasion or like it's my daughter's birthday, like I'm not going to not have a piece of her birthday cake. And so I did, and I enjoyed it, and I'm glad that I did. But I know that it's going to be a few days and maybe a week that those sugar cravings are going to be hitting, and that it's just going to be something that I want. And it's, it's addictive. It really is. So that's something that I struggle with personally, so much to the point to where I do not even eat carbs at all. Um, Typically, because whenever I eat carbs, it ramps up my appetite, and I've trained myself to be able to optimize either protein or fat as fuel, to the point to where I found it to be a much cleaner source of fuel. I have way better mental clarity. My energy levels are more consistent, and there's a number of benefits that I could go on and on and on about having a low carb diet, to where when you restrict carbohydrates, which is the only one of the 3 macronutrients that is not essential. Your body needs protein, it needs fat, but it does not need carbs. Are carbs good? Yeah, absolutely. Carbs are totally good for you, but it doesn't mean that they're right for everybody. It doesn't mean that everybody should eat carbs all the time. So for that reason, I've found that I decided to try not eating carbs because I found it hard to stick to my diet. I've just had a huge appetite my entire life. I'm just going to be honest. It doesn't matter. I don't think I've ever walked away from a meal going, I'm stuffed. I don't think I want another bite. Like, I always want more. That's just how it's just how I am. It's who I am. And it was fine when I was in high school, but it's really caught up with me as I'm almost 30 now. How the hell did that happen? Hey, Martha, thanks so much for joining. Excited to see you here in a couple weeks, coming down to Texas. So yeah, any questions that you have on bulking, just let me know. So last couple things on the carbs though is just that I've had a huge appetite my entire life, and so every time that I eat, it's kind of hard to stop. For that reason, eating highly satiating, highly nutrient dense foods has been key for me, and not going completely overboard on my calories every day. So like even when I'm lean bulking, like right now, like I'm still like, it's not hard for me to eat 4 or 5 pounds of steak a day. Like, I still, when I eat my last bite, I'm sad, and I still wish that I had more steak to eat. So that's like the biggest complaint that we get in our meal plans. When someone gets their meal plan, they're like, "How am I supposed to eat all this meat?" And they're dropping weight like crazy because everything they're eating is so nutrient dense, and it's what their body needs, it's what their body thrives on. Can you survive without meat? Yeah, you can survive, but you can't thrive. You can thrive when you're on meat, in my opinion, from what I've seen. Anyway, so yeah, I hope that answers your question on the sugar cravings. That is no fun whatsoever. So I'm going to scroll up a little bit and see what other questions there were. Right. How many extra calories do you need to eat to build muscle? This is Dana from Ohio. I'm looking forward to seeing you too, by the way. We're booking our flights in early February. So I think we're going to go to Dallas and then Houston. And then I'm going to zip over to you. Instead of coming back home, it makes more sense to do this than to come back home and then go over there. It's like, why don't we just like make one big loop around the country and then fly into Seattle, and then Taylor will come pick me up after we train our clients there. So anyway, your question on eating enough on how do you know that you are eating enough calories? Okay, that's actually my second point. So I'm just going to jump right to that. This is something I was going to talk about anyways. So your body needs protein and it needs fat. So you need a certain amount of protein. It's different for everybody to live, to be a functional human being. And then if you want to build muscle, there's a threshold of protein that you need to hit to be able to build muscle. Now, when you are, now there's a difference between somebody that's brand new to lifting weights and somebody like me that is a very advanced level bodybuilder at this point. I've been doing this for 12 years off and on. I'd say about 9 or 10 years of consistent weight training at this point. Now, my protein needs are going to be higher. Personally, I eat way more protein than my body actually needs because my protein is my primary fuel source. So we'll come back to that. On the subject of fat, there's a minimum amount of fat that your body needs to survive, and then you will receive additional benefits the more fat that you eat on top of that. My testosterone levels tank when I'm at 10 or 20 grams of fat a day. That's when my testosterone levels were the lowest. It's been as low as 180 milligrams, or I don't know, whatever. It's 100, basically like an 80-year-old man is where my testosterone levels were when my fats were that low. But I was shredded for like 8 months, and at the end of it, I had glute striations. So it was worth it. But ever since I went on the carnivore diet and I was able to get my testosterone levels back up, that's been a lot better on me, and it's been a lot better on my wife too. She's a lot happier about that. Anyway, we did conceive our daughter though during that amount of time. Somehow made it happen. Okay, so that's protein and that's fat. And then there's carbs. Now, carbs is the only macronutrient that you don't need. Again, is it helpful? Yeah, it's your body's preferred fuel source. So if you're eating protein, fats, and carbs, your body's going to pick carbs every single time because it's the easiest for it to use for energy. So it makes it very, very effective fuel, especially for somebody that's a hard gainer in the first place, or somebody that like doesn't really have a big appetite, or somebody that it's really hard for them to put on muscle. Carbs are usually really beneficial in that case because it can help them. It can help them with those energy levels, get those calories in, and it's more about the energy levels when it comes to bulking. There's only 4 things that you need to be able to build muscle. You need protein. You need stimulus, like a reason for your muscles to grow, meaning you lift more weight than you normally do, and then your body goes, oh, we should probably get bigger, and then it uses the protein to do that. The protein is the only actual building block. The fat doesn't build muscle. The carbs don't build muscle. The protein is what builds the muscle. Okay. And then it needs water and it needs sleep. And if you have those 4 things going for you, you can expect to build muscle. So in theory, to build muscle, you wouldn't need any fat or any carbs at all. But of course, what'll happen is you won't have the energy to be able to get the stimulus. You're gonna die because you're not getting your fat. Dying has been scientifically proven to not be good for your health. So for those reasons, carbs can be very beneficial, and you need an adequate amount of fuel. So when it comes to how many calories that you need, you don't need any extra calories to bulk at all, despite what some people may say. To lean bulk, the goal is to build muscle. It doesn't matter if you're gaining fat or losing fat. If you eat too many calories, then what happens? You just start getting way fatter, and then you have to cut longer. And when you cut, you're probably going to lose that extra muscle, if any, that you built just from those extra calories. People use it as an excuse. They just want to go to McDonald's and they just want to say, oh, I'm getting in my calories, bro. I'm getting in my calories, bro. It's mostly like guys that kind of have this mindset, and it's just not worth it. You're getting fat, you're getting puffy, you're trying to make that scale go up. The scale doesn't need to go up. Forget what the scale says when you're bulking. You should be looking in the mirror. You should be making sure that you're building muscle. You should be tracking everything in a logbook to make sure that you're making scalable, consistent progress. Spoiler alert: that is going to be the fifth point that we covered today. So when it comes to extra calories, you don't need them. You don't need any extra calories. You need enough fuel to be able to make it through your workout and to be able to get that stimulus going. And you need protein to be able to recover, okay, and to be able to build muscle. So there's three sources of fuel. There's three macronutrients, and they can all be used as fuel. There's protein, there's fats, and there's carbs. Now, whichever one you have the most of, typically your body's going to start using that for fuel. All right. So on a meat-based diet, which is what we do and what we teach three different approaches, and these approaches are based on every single macronutrient. We did an entire podcast on this one like 20 episodes ago. So there's what we call classic carnivore. There's ketovore and there's carbivore. So carbivore is a meat-based diet where you're eating carbs only on your training days, and it's clean carbs. The vegetables are very, very minimal, so that you're using good, clean fuel like sweet potatoes and white rice. But most of your overall energy expenditure and your calories is coming from carbohydrates, not fat and not meat. But meat is still the base. That's where your nutrients are coming from. Hope that makes sense. So that's one way to do it. Okay. So that would mean that you need enough protein and enough fat to be able to build muscle and to be able to survive and to be able to build healthy. And then since carbs is your fuel, you just need enough carbs to be able to perform well in your workouts. You don't need carbs after your workout to fill up that muscle glycogen and everything. Can it help? Yeah, sure. But the protein, again, is what builds that muscle. The protein needs to be spread throughout the day, no matter what your approach is. Can you build muscle intermittent fasting? Yes, you can, but it's a very, very slow boat. I've done intermittent fasting for several years of my life, and there are some health benefits to it. But for bodybuilding and for building muscle, there's a problem, because when you train, especially if you train like I do, your body wants food, and it needs protein throughout the day to be able to grow. And if you're not giving it enough fuel, then you start running into a lot of problems, and you start to really overtax your central nervous system, because lifting heavy weights is taxing on your central nervous system to begin with. And then when you throw another stressor in life, and then when you have kids on top of that, you're running a couple business on top of that. I mean, that's a lot of stressors, and that leads to eating disorders, which is something that I still have and something that I still battle with every single day. It's that when something stressful happens in my life, then that's like the number one thing that I want to go to. Similar to somebody that, like, I don't mean to offend anybody, but somebody that struggles with alcohol, or somebody that struggles with another drug. I mean, sugar is just like any other drug. It can be just as addictive. Is it as detrimental as these other drugs? I mean, probably not, but it certainly can be. People die from bulimia. People die from having addictions to food. Like, it's a real serious issue, and that just happens to be the one that I struggle with. So the carnivore diet, the keto diet, those have been the best way for me to get a handle on it and to be able to be sustainable. I wish that wasn't the case. It's embarrassing talking about this, but at the end of the day, I want to be real, and I hope that this helps somebody that listens to it. Okay. So that is, I think, pretty much it. Yeah. I mean, when it comes to the fasting, the intermittent fasting and building muscle, I've put more muscle on these last 3 months than I have ever since I started bodybuilding. When I got into bodybuilding, my gains really slowed down because I was more into losing fat and posing and the aesthetics end of bodybuilding. And so building muscle, I found it hard to do because I was always trying to stay lean, and having done 8 natural bodybuilding competitions, like, it's hard to put on muscle during that time. So I decided to take 2 years off. And then build some muscle up through, let's see, I'm going to be at the end of my bulk in March, and I've put on more muscle these last 3 months than I ever have in one 3-month period of time since I started bodybuilding. And the biggest change that I made was I just stopped intermittent fasting, and I stopped working out fasted, and I started spreading out all my protein throughout the day. And if I wake up in the middle of the night, like I'll go drink a protein shake. But there's a difference between that and going 16 hours without any food at all, and then going 8 hours with food. You know, it's like it's like you're a contractor of a house, and you're building a building, and and your employees don't have any 2x4s and they don't have any nails. It's like, if you want them to work and if you want them to make something, you should probably give them the materials that you need. And the 2x4s and the nails and the bricks that your body needs, that's protein. So protein throughout the entire day. Again, you're going to get sick of me preaching how important protein is, but that's something that is crucial. So on the protein powder, you can get all of the nutrients that you need from meat, obviously. And as a matter of fact, I'm telling you this as somebody that sells protein powder on my website. Protein powder is going to be one of the least nutrient dense sources of protein. So it's great to fill in here and there. Like if you don't have time to cook a steak or you don't have any meat handy, being able to have this and just throw it together in a protein shake for me has been super convenient. Also, I don't like to train fasted. Again, we just talked about this, but before a workout, it is extremely beneficial to have some protein in your stomach just to have that protein synthesis going. And for me, it's my primary fuel source. So I prefer the classic carnivore approach, which is eating more protein than I need to the point to where that becomes my fuel. Okay. So I have about right now, I'm on about 450 grams of protein a day, which is way more than my body needs. And I know that. I'm eating no carbs and I'm eating 100 grams of fat, like 90 to 100 grams of fat. On higher days, maybe a little bit more. But I love doing this for a lean bulk because that protein really can't be stored as fat. And all of that extra protein gets converted to glycogen through a process called gluconeogenesis. So basically, think of it as I'm eating 200 grams of protein, and we have a meal plan that's like this too, if depending if somebody likes this particular approach and wants to do it. And these are our clients that are getting the best results that are doing this. Okay, so the first 200 grams of protein becomes it's used for muscle protein synthesis, like what protein is supposed to be used for. And then that next 200 grams of protein is converted to glycogen, which is essentially carbs, through a process called gluconeogenesis. Now, it takes a very long time for that to happen. It's a very slow metabolic process. It takes a long time because it digests all the other protein first, and then the extra protein is like on back order. It's like on backlog. Like it's just sitting in your stomach waiting for all the other protein to get digested. And like you feel kind of bloated when you eat that much protein at one time if you're eating 2 pounds of steak right before bed, like I do. And there's some drawbacks to eating a huge meal right before bed. But the plus side is when you wake up, it's pretty much at the end of that process. And so then you're full of glycogen. It feels like you ate a bunch of carbs, and then you can go crush your workout and you're pretty much fasted. Have a little protein shake just to top it off, and you get that muscle protein synthesis going. And then you're not even really breaking the fast. Like you're still kind of in a fasted state, but you get that protein going, maybe have some BCAAs during your workout, keep that muscle protein synthesis up. And that's how I found to be able to make it the best of both worlds, because then my insulin levels are never really jacked up super high. And so I'm not really, there's really no opportunity throughout the day for my body to put on a lot of fat. So I found it a very effective way to be able to burn fat, because by the end of my workout, a lot of times I hit ketosis. I'm just in a great fat burning state because my insulin levels are so low. But I'm able to get great workouts because of those muscle pumps from all that glycogen. So personally, I found it to be the best of both worlds, because I know that I'm not ignoring the law of thermodynamics. I know that it's calories in, calories out when it comes to fat loss. You need to be in a calorie deficit. But when I eat 200 grams of protein and 250 grams of carbs and 100 grams of fat, I get fat. But if I eat 450 grams of protein, no carbs, and 100 grams of fat, I do not get fat. The human body is much more complicated, and I don't even understand why this works. But this is why I track everything, and why I track everything that I eat on an Excel spreadsheet every single day. Because and I try to stay like 3 months out from a competition. I mean, not shredded, but like lean enough to where I can see differences like this and see if I'm picking up fat or not. Body scans don't work on me, so I'm pretty much just always going by the mirror, and that's why I'm posting it on my Instagram stories every day. It's because I'm taking videos and I'm analyzing them, and so it's like I might as well share them while I'm at it. But that's why I like the high protein approach. So that being said, if it's a challenge for somebody to eat that much protein in a day, which for a lot of people it is, supplementing it has been super helpful, at least for me. So I like to have this, like I said, right before a workout because I still feel like I'm fasted. I can still perform, and it doesn't bloat me. I like to mix it in my coffee, throw some Celtic sea salt in there, and yeah, this is the butter pecan cookie flavor. This is our new flavor. It's pretty damn good, and I am going to be completely honest. The peanut butter is better. The peanut butter is the best flavor on our website. These are by Metabolic Nutrition. It is a whey protein isolate. Pro tip when you're looking at protein powders and deciding like which one's good, which one's bad, you want something that's a whey protein isolate. Whey protein concentrate is going to be a little higher in the carbs. It's a different process in how it's made, and it's going to have a little bit of lactose in it. And most people are lactose intolerant. So I happen to be one of those people. I feel way better on whey protein isolate. All bodybuilders that I know use whey protein isolate, and that's what this is. It's called ISO powder by Metabolic Nutrition. It's made in the USA, of course, and this is our supplier that we've been using for several months now, based out of Florida. And when we go to Florida here this summer, I just got off the phone a couple days ago with our sales rep there, and he said that he's going to give us a tour of the whole factory. So Taylor and I are super amped about that. All started with their creatine product, and now we have, I would say, over half of their catalog on our website. We beat Amazon's prices. You can get, if there's anything that you want from Metabolic Nutrition, let me know on our next supplement order. I'll grab it for you. We really try to be competitive, and if you're a client, you get 10% off of that. So we're really cutting our profits pretty slim on that because we really want to help everybody out. And especially when it comes to our clients, it's like, it just makes sense from a business standpoint because we're like, okay, we want people to see results. If they have sweet cravings, like I would rather them have butter pecan cookie protein powder than eat a butter pecan cookie. I would rather eat them. I would rather have them eat chocolate cupcake flavored protein powder than go eat a chocolate cupcake. So it's nice to have on hand. We send it as a gift and a welcome package for anybody that becomes a new client. But yeah, this is all, like I said, all available on our website. We ship either the same day or next day. And what can I say? I mean, every single penny that goes through our website goes to pay our bills. And then anything that we have on top of that gets reinvested into our business. So these last couple of months have been really good. Actually, God's blessed us with some good business and some good exposure. So we've capitalized on that. This is all we do. We don't have a life outside of this. We don't have any friends. We don't go to the bar. I mean, my friends are my clients, my family, and the people at my gym and the people at my church. And that's like pretty much it. Like I keep in touch with other people like here and there where I can. But as far as like hobbies and everything, Taylor and me live, eat, sleep, and breathe this. So our dream is to open up Skullbellz gym. And so that's why like all the supplement sales, the logbook sales, Skullbellz sales. I mean, literally anything that is bought through our website, it goes to our family first to cover the essentials, and then anything that we need on top of that, it gets reinvested in our business. So we're just about to pull a trigger on a huge T-shirt order, and that's going to be, it's going to say supersetyourlife.com on the back. It's going to have this logo. Actually, if you're on the audio, then you probably can see the logo on the podcast platform that you're listening on. And then the gym bags, that's going to be our next piece of merchandise. So that, and then the Skullbellz cable attachments, should be getting the rubber in pretty much any day for our next work order of those. Again, all of this is available on our website, supersetyourlife.com. So, all right, enough of the plugs. Sorry about that, but guys gotta make some money, right? All right. How do I get a better butt? This is a question from Sasha. Thank you very much for this. All right. I was actually going to touch on that a little bit too, not on the butt, but on not being intentional about where to build muscle. So I'm going to skip forward to common bulking mistake number 4, which is not being intentional about where you need to build muscle. So if you want to build muscle in your butt, I'll just start with that as per your question. So if that's where you want to build muscle, you need to do exercises that are targeted towards the butt, plain and simple, right? If you have a muscle group that's overdeveloped, do less of that. So like me, for example, I never touched traps ever. I have not done a single trap exercise, isolation exercise, like a shrug or anything like that in years, because I used to. I thought it was really cool because like you get the Cobra effect and like it looks good in the most muscular pose. But I'm just genetically gifted in the traps thing. Like I look at a pair of dumbbells and my traps blow up, right? So I do not ever touch traps. And if they get overdeveloped for aesthetics, you got a problem, because then it makes you look slouched. So you can fix that when you pose, because you just move your chest up a little bit and flare your lats out, move your shoulders out to the side, and that kind of overcompensates for it. But if your shoulders are underdeveloped, which for me, they've always been a weak point, which is why I've just been slamming the heck out of them like crazy for this last year. I mean, I invented a piece of gym equipment called the deltoid desolator specifically to build my shoulders better. Like that's how mad I was that I couldn't get them to grow. But I've really been focusing on the side and rear delts to be able to get them to pop. The judges told me years ago that I needed shoulders, that I needed bigger shoulders, and that's what they told me at the last competition I did too, is that I still needed bigger shoulders. So that's what I've been focusing on personally. Now, so when it comes to glute exercises, the gluteus maximus, which is the scientific term for the butt, you're going to be doing hip thrusts, obviously, right? That's the basic. That's like the basic glute isolation exercise that there is. But any muscle building exercise, any muscle that you really want to grow is going to benefit most from doing compound lifts. So that's going to be things like deadlifts, squats, and again, I'm talking for the glutes. And so any variation on those, when it comes to your deadlifts, try a sumo deadlift over a conventional deadlift. That tends to favor the glutes. If you're going to do a squat, I would say do a low bar squat instead of a high bar squat. The high bar squat is when the bar sits on your traps, and then the low bar squat is when it sits basically on the next shelf down, kind of between your rear delts and your triceps. And you got to have a little bit of muscle there to be able to, hold the bar there. Makes you lean a little bit more forward, which is okay. It's almost kind of like a combination good morning and a squat. Good mornings are good for the glutes too. Those are the top glute exercises that come to mind. But yeah, so expanding a little bit off that on not being intentional about where they need to build muscle. I just see so many athletes do this, and you can't go into the gym and just go through the motions and lift weights and just like buy some cookie cutter workout program off of the internet. Like you should, your workout training should be tempered. So I'm looking at a book right now called Building the Classic Physique the Natural Way by Steve Reeves. And this is this is the second best bodybuilding book I've ever read. The first one obviously is Arnold Schwarzenegger's Bodybuilding Encyclopedia. I use that one for reference all the time. Studied that thing, and that basically casted the vision for me of what I could do with bodybuilding. But this one, Building the Classic Physique the Natural Way by Steve Reeves, he was before Arnold's time, before steroids were even really a thing. So not a lot of guys really on steroids back then. And being a natural athlete myself, this is something that I found really inspirational to read, because it was, a bit more attainable than the freaks, the huge guys that you see in Arnold's book. But he says on page 67, when someone comes into a gym to build a classic physique, he or she should not be concerned with simply adding size for the sake of adding size, or in lifting heavy weights simply for the sake of lifting heavy weights. You must have a purpose or a reason for your training, and that reason should be tempered with only one word: proportion. You need to be thinking about your proportions. You need to be thinking about how you want to look and where you want to build muscle. That's why when someone completes their first phase of one of our workout plans, like I need those pictures to be able to write that second phase. I can't just, they're like, okay, I'm done, I'm ready for my next workout. I'm like, okay, well, I need to see your progress pictures, because I need to know what's working, what's not working. And if you're losing fat, like now I'm going to be able to see better where you can build more muscle. And the body is art, in high school and through college, I was always into art, and I was always into hockey, and I was always into sports, and not the art that you're thinking of. I was actually a musician. But music is an art, and that's why I love bodybuilding so much, is because I still get to do both of those now. Is bodybuilding a sport? Yeah. Is it an art? Yeah. It's weird. It's both. It really is both. So when it comes to how your body looks, the main goal of aesthetics is to be able to display a small waist. And so that comes from conditioning. That comes from losing the fat that may be around your stomach and your lower abs and your glutes and all the places that are common to hold fat. And so that'll make you look leaner, but also building muscle proportionally in places that by proportion make your waist look and appear smaller. That's the other key. Like, you got to add muscle onto your shoulders, onto your upper chest, onto your back, onto your lats, and onto the onto the outer heads of your quads. All of my quad work is focused on the outer quads because that I have long femurs, and so that's kind of a hard place for me to be able to develop. But when you build that physique, that classic physique X frame, that's what makes your waist look smaller by proportion. And so you look broader shoulder, leaner by where you intentionally put on muscle. And I don't see enough people lifting intentionally to add muscle into the areas where their physique really needs it. It's different for every single person. My wife, Taylor, she looks at a squat bar and her quads blow up. It's not fair. Lawrence, our last competitor, got second place at the NPC Northern Classic in Federal Way, Washington, back in September. He and I are going to do that same show. Actually, both of us are doing that one this upcoming fall in 2022. But he looks at a squat bar and his quads blow up. The last month of his prep, we stopped all quad exercises. Like, he literally didn't train them at all, and we were just hammering his hamstrings, trying to get his hamstrings to catch up. And the judges still told him his quads were overpowering. Which is a compliment. Most guys, that's definitely a weak point. So for me, my hamstrings are pretty good, glutes are pretty good. Chest is, I'm extremely genetically gifted in the chest. So my focus right now just happens to be quads, particularly the outer heads of the quads, and back, lower lats. My back is thick enough, but definitely need improvement in the shoulders, and the biceps and triceps could be bigger too. That's pretty much it. That's my physique in a nutshell. Calves, genetically gifted in the calves. I guess you could thank my mom and my dad for that. It's probably, this is kind of depressing, but probably the best thing that you could do in the sport of bodybuilding is pick good parents. So much of it is genetic. All right, so that is point number 4. I'm going to see what other questions we have here. Scroll down. Thank you for these questions, by the way, guys. These are really, really good. Beating the sugar cravings in the holidays. Already covered that one. What does a typical keto carnivore meal look like? Okay, and then I had a question on intermittent fasting. Great, I already covered that one. Do I recommend electrolytes? Okay, yeah, I think I already covered the keto and carnivore meals pretty well. So I'm going to skip that one. And then, do I recommend electrolytes? Yeah, definitely. And the electrolytes I recommend are not the ones that you're thinking of. What I recommend is Celtic sea salt. There's twice as much potassium as sodium in it. You can't find it on our website. I know that everything I recommend, I try to see that, like, if I can cut the middleman, if I can put it on my website and just sell it, so that I'm, at least getting some of the profit for it, like have some sort of incentive to be able to sell it. But I think there's some that fell through. Like, we're not like a food business or something, so that we can't sell it. But Celtic sea salt, CELTIC. It's a good company. It's a good product. It has iodine in it. It's kind of like pink Himalayan sea salt, but it has way more potassium in it. And that potassium is something that a lot of people are deficient on, particularly when they start a any type of low carbohydrate diet. Now, the carnivore diet and the keto diet they're not too low in electrolytes. They're not like lower than what your body needs. But if you've been training and if you've been living a high carbohydrate lifestyle, you've been getting lots of potassium and lots of sodium and lots of magnesium, which are the 3 electrolytes, because of all the electrolytes that are in carbs. And so when you cut carbs out, your body's just having less than what it was used to. And then that's a problem. You're going to get brain fog. You're going to take your immune system. You're going to have low energy. You're going to suffer a lot of consequences from not having those electrolytes. So for that reason, I recommend definitely upping the electrolytes. And I just like them at this point. So I put Celtic sea salt. It's got sodium, it's got potassium, it's got a ton of minerals in it. It's got iodine in it. I think I mentioned that already. But I put it on everything. I put it on my eggs. I put it on my steak. I put it in my water. I put it in my coffee. It's an acquired taste, but you get used to it, and then your body just kind of craves it. You'll be shocked at how, like, you'll think you're hungry, or like you'll be craving some food, and then you just drink a couple cups of water with some salt in it, and then you realize your body didn't even need food. It just needed electrolytes and needed to be hydrated. So yeah, that's what I recommend on electrolytes. How much fat do I recommend? It depends on your goals, your body. For men and women, it's different. Um, you know, It depends on, first of all, what type of meal plan you're on. If you're on a high carbohydrate diet, you're going to want your fat to be relatively low on those days. Off the top of my head, I usually have most of my guys on around 20 or 30 grams of fat, and women on 20 to 30 grams of fat as well. But then on their non-training days, there's no carbs, because you don't need carbs to go on walks and stuff, and to not work out. So those are good days to give your body a break from carbs, and that's your opportunity to really up the fats. This is what my coach had me do, even when I was on a high carbohydrate diet. And then you can get away with having 100, 150, maybe even 200 grams of fat a day, depending on what your metabolism looks like on those off days when you don't have any carbs, and it's going to be way less likely to be stored as fat when you're doing it that way. So that's if you're on a high carb approach. If you're on a high fat approach, then rule of thumb, I would say whenever this is what Robert Sykes said in his book, on his ketogenic contest prep book, which I think I have right here. Yeah, he has a new one coming out too, by the way. I asked him if I could do the recording on it, and he goes, "Nah, man, everybody wants to hear my calm, soothing, relaxing voice." And I was like, "Yeah, that's a good point," because he's a super busy guy, somebody I really admire, and I was like, man, like if I could take some weight off of his plate and record the audio book for him, like maybe that would free up some of his time, and then I would learn a lot from doing it too. I'm so excited for the book to come out. I'm definitely going to read it when I get it, or when as soon as it comes out. But it's going to be an updated version of this one. It's called the Keto Adapted Performance Manual. Escape the confusion, stay shredded all year, and unleash the savage within, by Robert Orion Sykes. You can pick this up on Amazon. Better yet, just wait until his new book comes out. Follow him, the Keto Savage, if you don't already. This guy is a total stud. One of my biggest motivating reasons to do natural bodybuilding without any carbs. He does a ketogenic approach. I like to do a carnivore approach, and so we're a little different in that regard. But there's a lot of commonalities, obviously, between the way that we do things. So, anyway, in his book, where was I going with that? He he says that whenever you're hungry, if you're on a ketogenic diet, eat more fat, not protein, but fat. Too much protein on a ketogenic diet will kick you out of ketosis. All right, and then on a high protein approach, you want it to be about 33% of your energy expenditure. So of your energy intake, excuse me. Okay, so on a classic carnivore approach, which is your main source of fuel is protein, 66% of your energy is coming from protein, 33% is coming from carbs. So for me, it's about 400 to 450 grams of protein and about 90 to 100 grams of fat. That's about a 2-to-1 ratio. And then on the ketogenic diet for athletic performance, for bodybuilding, it's the exact opposite. It's 66% of your calories coming from fat, 33% coming from protein. So depending on how heavy you are, how much you weigh, your metabolism, how many calories a day you're eating, it's going to be dependent from person, but those are the ratios. It's a lot of math that goes into it. Okay. Let's see, what questions do we have? Todd says, I cut out the carbs since I'm sick. Good for you. Sorry that you're sick, bro. Glad that you're getting better, though. Todd says, the butter pecan protein powder is delicious. Thank you very much for that. Bay Area says, Colt, feeling better, brother? Yeah, I was in the hospital yesterday from a stress-induced stomach ulcer. So that is from working too hard, I guess. There's enough. Yeah, that's a different conversation. I'm not going to go that direction on this podcast, but I appreciate all the prayers. It was more pain than I've ever experienced in my entire life. And so our whole church started praying for me. And as soon as everybody started, and as soon as I got notified that everybody was praying, like it went away. I was rolling around on the floor screaming like a baby, like I was stabbed by a knife or something. It just felt weird. I've never felt that in my entire life before. And our entire church just totally had my back. And so I think God really took care of me on that one. And I'm extremely, extremely grateful for my brothers and sisters in Christ for having my back. I think they really took care of me. Okay. So all glory to God in that one. And then Todd says, mix them. Trust me, mixing so you're mixing the peanut butter and the butter pecan. That's a damn good idea. Okay, I'm gonna try that, and I'll follow up with you when I'm done with that. see, Danny says, how do you feel about beef protein isolate? I've never actually tried it. I don't know. I'm sorry. It's not something that I have any knowledge or experience on. So apologize for that. And thank you, by the way, Danny, for even asking that question and for being on this live, because you are one of the smartest people in this world that I know, especially on the carnivore diet. So I'm honored that you are a part of this. Thank you very much for joining. Okay. Somebody says, Martha says, OMG, glad that you are okay. Yep. I'm glad that I'm okay too. Thanks a lot for that. Yeah, it was scary. I guess that we started looking up stomach ulcers, and there's like 10 different things that cause them. And I do like pretty much all 10 of those things. One of them is anabolic steroids. So like, obviously that's the one of the 10 that I don't do, but like too much caffeine, alcohol, even though it's in moderation. I smoke my pipe from time to time. If you follow me on Instagram, you know that. Just, pushing myself hard in the gym, on the computer. I mean, it all adds up. So that's why every single night it's like mandatory Bible study time, peace and quiet, listening to basically like massage therapy music, and just toning it down and making sure that we don't overexpend ourselves. So we're in business for ourselves, so we don't necessarily have like a specific day that we that we have off. Basically, Taylor and I just go 18, 19-hour days until we get burnt out. And then we play it by ear and we pray about it. And when we feel like we need to take a day off, that's when we scale back, and I'm playing Legos with the kids for the entire day, or I'm reading the Bible for the entire day, or I'm going to the church, or I'm inviting someone over for a cigar or something. Of course, I'm backing off the nicotine right now because I'm thinking that's something that contributed to the ulcers. So, yeah, we're go-getters. I'd rather, if I'm going to have health consequences, I'd rather have health consequences from pushing myself too hard as a business person than from being lazy, I guess. So thank God for the carnivore diet and for the gym, keeping me healthy and allowing me to be able to do what I do every day. All right. Let's see. What other questions do we have? Can you explain carnivore versus keto and the time you train? Like what time of the day you train? That's an excellent question. Thank you very much for that, Martha. Again, I'm really looking forward to meeting you in person. Okay. So so carnivore and keto are both very, very similar. One, your primary fuel source is fat, one, which is keto. And then one, your primary fuel source is protein. So you're still getting fats, and you can get away with having a lot more of them because you're not eating any carbs. So your insulin is going to be quite a bit lower. Now, when you are on a high protein approach, there's carnivores that I know that eat a lot of protein and they're not in ketosis. It kicks you out of ketosis. So it's not keto. It's different. It's like having a high protein approach is like a hybrid between a high fat diet and a high carb diet without any carbs. So think of it as like it's you're eating like you're on keto, but you feel like you're on a high carb diet. It's like the best of both worlds. That's why it's my favorite personally. Now, if you are doing that approach, the only way that I've found to be able to do it personally, because like we're kind of pioneers in this area. Like I don't really know anybody else that does this. I'm sure there's other people that do, but I'm just not aware of anybody that really does. So when it comes to having protein as your primary fuel source, you're going to be you're over consuming protein, so it becomes glycogen through gluconeogenesis, and it takes a long time for that to be able to happen. So you have to time it with having a lot of protein right before you go to bed, because otherwise, like, how else are you going to get your energy? You don't really have any energy until that gluconeogenesis takes place. So you need to eat a lot of protein at one time to be able to get there. Now, if you do that right before bed, which is what I do, you don't sleep as good as when you're on keto. That's a drawback. I need 6 or 7 hours of sleep when I'm on high protein carnivore. What's up, Pose Down Guy? Thanks for joining. And you need, and I need probably 5 hours of sleep when I'm on keto. I get way better sleep when I'm on keto. That big meal before bed, it does make you need a little more sleep, and you wake up a little groggy. So, it's like, get over it. Like you wake up and just take a cold shower or something, and you're good as new, right? And so for that reason, I've only found that the morning to be the sweet spot for training on a high protein carnivore approach. Personally, there's probably another way you can do it, and maybe I'm overthinking it, but I can only get good workouts in first thing in the morning. And by first thing in the morning, I mean like after a protein shake and some pre-workout and like letting that settle for a little bit. So my workouts are usually around 10 o'clock. And if I get phone calls and stuff, then sometimes I get pushed back to 12 or 1 o'clock, and then my workouts aren't as good. If it's keto's great because it's flexible. Like like you can train anytime throughout the day. Like you can train first thing in the morning, you can train in the middle of the day, you can train at night. So for somebody that's busy and your schedule's unpredictable, I like to personally recommend those people do keto as opposed to high protein classic carnivore. So if you're keto, you're running on fat, so it doesn't really matter when you train. You could train first thing in the morning, you could train later in the day, like after a meal of a couple eggs and like some bacon, like that is just good clean fuel if it's from good eggs and a good pig, or like a fatty piece of leftover steak from the night before. I like when I make my steaks, I like to save all the fatty pieces and I just stick them in the fridge. And then when I wake up in the morning, I'll eat those, because then that fat is good fuel for first thing in the morning. My insulin levels are super low at that point, so it's less likely to be stored as fat. And then it makes me very mentally alert. It's very bioavailable. And so I'm able to get great workouts and start the day off on a great note, very high energy, very highly focused, if I have those good animal fats like first thing in the morning. So, and then save the leaner cuts for at night, which is where it's easiest to store fat towards the nighttime, right before bed, especially if you're eating that much food at once. So I like to eat my leaner meat, then eat the fattier cuts early in the day. So hope that is helpful. Thank you very much, Martha, for that question. Thank you, Pose Down Guy. Thanks for that. Thanks for saying so. Stay well, buddy. Hope that you're staying well too. Okay. All right. So we have covered where to put on muscle mass, not too much food, and I think I'm caught up on everybody's questions. So I'm gonna try to knock out these last 3 points here. So the first one is improving too fast. I see this as being a big problem. Like it's really tempting when you're putting on muscle to if you are your ego can get in the way, and you can want to outperform what you did the last workout, which is what you should be doing, but you only need to be a little bit better every single workout. Okay. My last time that I deadlifted was a couple weeks ago, and I pulled 375 pounds with the chains for 5 reps. I'm looking at my logbook right now. By the way, you can grab these logbooks to track your workout progress on our website, supersetyourlife.com. The quick backstory behind these. I've been doing this for years and years, tracking my workouts, sets and reps on everything, how much weight I'm doing, how many reps I'm doing it for, so that I can see where I'm progressing, where I'm maybe losing muscle if I'm cutting too hard, stuff like that. I can catch it right away. And I think this is one of the most valuable things that everybody can do. I'm going to talk more about documenting your progress later here, actually. But I just kept going on to Amazon and buying fitness logbooks, and then like the one that I was using would get discontinued, and so I'd have to go find a different one. And I've been posting these on my Instagram stories, and so for years people have been asking me, where are you getting those logbooks? And I've just been telling everybody, go on Amazon, get this, go on Amazon, get that. And then finally I was like, all right, enough of this crap. I could design one that's 10 times better than anything that I found on Amazon, and I could buy it in bulk, and then I could resell it through my own website. So that's what I've been doing. So now whenever somebody says, where you get that logbook, I say, supersetyourlife.com. Here's the website, and they go pick it up, and I beat Amazon's prices. So every single page has a different motivational quote on the bottom. The last one was "Too hard for you, just right for me." That's by Tracy Eaton. He's an entrepreneur I really respect. This one here from yesterday is "I don't eat for taste, I ate for function." That's from Jay Cutler. I got bodybuilders in here. I got pro athletes in here. I got Olympic athletes in here. Michael Phelps, Frank Zane, Flex Wheeler. A little bit of everything. So I tried to keep it focused on business, focused on aesthetics, focused on sports, focused on bodybuilding, and something to keep you motivated every day. Whatever muscle groups you hit, you circle what day it is, write the date down, and any notes that you have on your workout, jot those down at the bottom. So I tried to make it as practical as I could, something small and durable that you could just throw in your gym bag. Made sure we went back and forth with probably like 10 different samples before we made sure that it was perfect and just the way that we wanted it. We're really happy that we did this. It was a lot of time and a lot of effort into it. But this first edition of our bodybuilding logbook, we've been very pleased with. And so far, everybody that I know that's been purchasing these off our website is very happy with them too. Again, you can grab those at supersetyourlife.com. Save yourself 10% if you book a coaching, free 15-minute coaching consultation with me. No obligation on that whatsoever. If it works out and we can end up having a coaching client relationship, great. And if not, then maybe I just point you in the direction of somebody that can help. So anyway, that is So when it comes to improving too fast, okay, so I did 375 pounds with chains for 5 reps last week. I don't know how much the chains weigh. I put them on the end because on the ends of the bar, because it makes the bar heavier at the top and lighter at the bottom. That makes it safer, because the most dangerous part of a deadlift is that bottom part when you're getting it off the flow. Your lower back really isn't designed to be able to lift that heavy a weight. So, but your upper back responds very, very well to heavy weight. So that's why I like to put chains on the bar, because then by the time I get to the top, my upper back is overloaded with that really heavy weight, which is super anabolic for the upper back. And then it's safer on the bottom. So it probably adds like 30 to 40 pounds to the top of the lift, and they weigh like nothing at the bottom, right? So think of it as like basically 400 pounds at the top, but 375 pounds at the bottom, something like that. So I did 375 pounds last week with chains for 5 reps. And today I just went in there with the mindset of all I need to do is 380. So I pulled 380 with chains, and I was like, this is super easy. And I was thinking about, I was like, okay, I had a lot of carbs over Christmas, and I did hex bar deadlifts and really overloaded. I was pulling I was repping 405 with chains in Montana, because the hex bar is easier. You can lift heavier weight on it. And so now a couple weeks later, I come back to conventional deadlifts. I'm like, man, like I could go up to 385 if I wanted to, but I know that you only need the minimum effective dose. So I only did 380 pounds, and I just did 7 sets of 5 reps. Okay. So the reason for that is because that alone is going to be enough on my conventional deadlift to be able to build muscle. So my body's going to be building muscle right now, and I know the next time I do conventional deadlifts, I'm going to be stronger. Now, if I would have jumped up to 385, 390 pounds, then I probably wouldn't build any muscle any faster if I would do that. It would feed my ego, but I'd be risking injury at that point because my body's not used to that heavy weight. So you don't need to push it too hard. Just go a little bit heavier so that you're a little bit better than the last time. It could be 2.5 extra pounds. It could be an extra rep. If you're squatting, you could just go a little bit deeper than last time. That counts as progressive overload too. Anything to make it better than the last time that you did it. If you're bulking, you need to be getting the best bang for your buck. You need to be getting better every single workout. So it's the same thing on any single lift. Bench press, if you feel like you can do more, just only do a little bit more than you did last time. That's all you have to do. Because if you're bulking for 3 months, and you get 5 pounds better every single week. I mean, I'm going to be repping over 405 pounds with chains. I know I'm not a power lifter, but hey, I'm a bodybuilder, so I feel like that's a lot of weight for what I do. If I'm repping that kind of weight after 3 months, I mean, that's a huge improvement. It really is, and it adds up. But if you get injured, or if you say, like, if I was to pull 385 pounds this week, like, what am I going to do the next week? Pull 390 pounds? It's like you're getting too far ahead of yourself. So just do enough so that your body it always has a reason to want to build muscle. You'll plateau faster if you try to hit those goals a little too quick. All right. So that's minimum effective dose. And that really leads very nicely into not giving yourself enough time. All right. If you're going to do a bulk, a lean bulk, any kind of a bulk, building muscle takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. It happens while you're asleep, but it doesn't happen overnight. You're not going to notice any significant muscle gains for quite some time. You need to make sure you give yourself adequate time. Fat loss happens a bit quicker, but I see too many people go, "Oh yeah, no, I'm gonna bulk for a month." I'm like, why? Like, you're not even gonna see any difference in that. Like, if you're gonna cut for a month, great, yeah, you can see some really fast fat loss results really quick. But I mean, unless you've never stepped foot in the gym before, then you need to give yourself quite a bit more time to be able to be able to bulk and be able to put on some significant muscle. Okay, so the last one, point number 5 out of 5 of the 5 common bulking mistakes and how to avoid them, is not documenting your progress. All right. And again, I already talked about the fitness logbook and the importance of doing that. And if you have an app or if you have any other way to track, I'm just begging you, please track your workouts because you're going to be so glad that you did. That and your food intake. Okay. So I track every single meal that I eat year round. I mean, there's days that I wing it. There is, like yesterday with the stomach ulcer going to the ER. It's like I didn't track macros that day. As a matter of fact, I ate first thing I ate was a Snickers bar because I was just starving and I just wanted something that would go right through my system and I could test like how that would react to my stomach and everything. And so I'm glad that I did it that way. I had some honey and some coconut oil on some toast. And that kind of like coated the inside of my stomach and helped it feel a lot better. So today I'm back at 100%. Now I'm making a lot of lifestyle changes like around my stress and around around my workload for the day to make sure that doesn't happen again. So that being said, normally every single day out of the year, I'm tracking my macros. I'm tracking everything that goes into my body. And that's something that, if you want to be as meticulous with me about it, great. But it's not something to where you probably need to be like that at quite as detailed in the off season as you are like on a contest prep when you're cutting or something. But you can see 10 times better what's working and what's not working. It holds you accountable to your diet. Last thing you want to do is like, oh yeah, I'm on the carnivore diet now. I'm keto right now. Oh, you know what? I'm just kind of doing it if it fits your macros. It's like, okay, well, those approaches don't all mix with each other. It's like, pick something, stick with it. If you're tracking it, you're going to be able to see what's working and what's not working. So that is all 5 points. And I think I'm caught up on all the questions from the Instagram live. So thank you very much, everybody, for submitting those, for joining us. Really, really appreciate it. This, this community and this team of camaraderie that we've been able to build has just been, it's been a real serendipity. It wasn't our goal when we started personal training. When we went full in coaching, like we are right now, 9 months ago is when we just went all in with it. And it's just been one of the best decisions we've ever made with our lives. We've just been blessed with people that are committed, that want to do the program, that really genuinely want to see a change, and they do it and they stick with it. And so we're seeing people we're seeing people within our team encourage each other and make posts in the Facebook group to the point where like I'm waking up and scrolling through our private Facebook groups and seeing like, oh, this person just deadlifted this. Oh, this person just benched this. Oh, this person just lost this many notches in their weight belt. Oh, this person's waist circumference just went down this much, and they're just posting it, and like they're all like motivating each other. So it's freeing up my time, So as a leader and as a coach, having come from a background in a number of different relationship businesses to where we've built, teams like this in the past and in the corporate world, this is something that I guess is really just starting to pay off, because we're seeing a lot of great people that are keeping me on point, people that it's some that are committed to their diets, committed to their workout programs, especially when it comes to the competitors. Man, like it's hard for me to coach a competitor up through a show and not train like I'm a competitor myself. When Lawrence did his show, it just reignited that fire in me. And was like, man, like, okay, I want to train like this again. Like I can't have a client that looks better than me. This is ridiculous. So Lawrence, I love you, buddy. Sela, I love you a lot. Thank you for your transformation post from being 6 weeks through your program. You're awesome. I mean, I could go on and on and on. I'm not going to start naming any more names because I'll forget somebody and probably get in trouble. But yeah, thank you, listeners, so much for listening to this entire show, for being on the live. Appreciate all of you. You guys are our lives. And yeah. Any other questions that you have on that, feel free to hit me up on Instagram. That is at Colt Milton, COLTMILTON. Again, our website is supersetyourlife.com, just like it sounds. And if you have any questions for me at all that you would like to discuss in regards to working out, bulking, questions on anything that we covered in this podcast, feel free to text me 206-743-1346. I think that's pretty much it. Oh yeah, last thing, if you would, if you like the show, if you found value in it, we would be flattered. We would love it if you would please share this with a friend, somebody that wants to build muscle. Shoot it to them and just copy the link, text it to them, and say, hey, this guy's got some good tips. I think it might help you on your bulk. That would be awesome. And if you could subscribe to our show if you're not already, so you don't miss so that you don't miss any episodes. This is the last thing I had time to do this week was to record this podcast, but we are committed to having a new episode every single Saturday morning. And it's been a long time since we've missed a week, and we are committed to having one every single week to keep your workouts entertaining, keep them educational, and to give you the resources that you need to be able to superset your life. All right. So enough of that. Have an awesome rest of your day. Thank you again so much for listening. God bless you. God bless your gains. Bye-bye.